Ah, yes. Welcome to the Kentucky X-Files, Season 4. Young Masters, Dennis Mays, Josh Gibbs, and Tyler Stewart are expecting you. If you will, follow me to the fire, and on your way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, visit us at www.kyxfiles.com. I now leave you to the young masters.
I was like, I really feel like you boys will appreciate some of these riffs, you know? And he's like, dude. I'm like, yeah. I was like, you just got to go easy on us, you know, and help us load in and stuff because, you know, we're senior citizens.
Yeah, that's the fucking worst part now. You know, I was in my 20s rolling in a full stack like mine and the other guitar players, and then an Ampeg 410, and then all that, 16-piece drum set and all that shit. No big deal, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's like,
yeah,
this shit's heavy.
Kat's best friend Vicky, she goes, "Danny, does this make you feel old?" I'm like, "Yes, it does." And she's like, "Yeah, that was you. That was what you did, you know." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fucking." I was Gage's sister was there, and she's like, "Why do you feel old? You're not old." All this. I'm like, "Well, you see all that stuff that they got up on stage there?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "See, that's a young man's game. That's a younger man's game right there. Loading all that stuff in is where that would be right about where I'm like, I feel it. I'm done."
Yeah. Yeah, that's where, and if you're like hosting the show and you're bringing the PA, that's even worse.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm looking at in this room right here. It's like, you might as well tell me I got to sell my house and move. You know, if I've got to empty this room, it's at that point, you know what I mean?
Go to do the show and you just never come back.
Right. I just live here now. I live here now, guys.
I'll just buy new shit, have it delivered to the house.
It was fun.
You'd hire a local moving company just to put your shit in and out of your house and into the show.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll pay you extra if you just stay there or come back later.
Yeah.
And then pick the shit up.
Yeah. I had a questionable ethic back then when it came to the live thing too. Like I loved playing live. I just hated the load in and load out.
Yeah.
So you would know as I went, man, my setups got more and more simple, you know, and I started cutting out stuff, and
okay. So the other thing too is like you start realizing why some of the older cats that would play like the blues shows would show up with a Fender Twin combo.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I just did. Yeah.
Did he freeze?
I don't know.
It sure looks like he froze.
It looks like it.
But yeah, it's like you understand why those guys are like
they would bring combo amps because it was easier.
Yeah, a super super light Fender Stratocaster, one single cord, and a 112 combo, and they're like, make the PA do the work.
They were way ahead of the fucking curve on that one. Yeah,
because
there went. Yeah, man, it was a good time. I was very, very happy.
I wish I would have known ahead of time, man. I would have loved to. Just go to a show that wasn't, a national act. I haven't been to a show in a while. I know one of the guests, he wrote a letter onto the show, is also a musician, and he's been after me about trying to get on and come to a show. And it's like every time he plans a show, something has happened, and there's a reason why I can't go. Wow, he's even froze coming back in.
Yeah, he is.
This feels weird having me at the top.
Oh, there he is.
You seem shorter now. Oh, never mind.
WB.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a good time, man. I had a blast. I'm really proud of Gage and seeing his band play. Again, drummers out there, I know you're out there. I know you want to join a band that they're not fucking around. They're ready. You need to get a hold of me. You need to you know the email address. Email the show, leave a comment, something like that. Let me know, and I'll put you in touch.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can play fast because these guys are fucking fast. Yeah. It was pretty fucking awesome.
That would be interesting to have us up there as a polar opposite band because we don't play fast.
Yeah. It would I know. Okay, so during all the fast stuff at the show, it was like the mosh pit would go wild, but the breakdown stuff when it would go halftime, people went nuts, and it was awesome. I was enjoying it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days we'll have to see what it looks like from the stage.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to tell you guys about something that happened to me. I was removed from another Bigfoot group on Facebook. I can't remember the name of the group now because once it kicked me out, I was like, "Yeah,
for real?
Me?
No way!
Yeah.
That must have been a glitch."
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was a misunderstanding because somebody said something along the lines of like, how many people believe in Bigfoot, and have you ever seen one?" And then there was like 300 comments on it, right? Everybody's seen one, and I was like, I commented, and I was like, "Wow, look at all these people that spotted him." I was like, guess he's not that rare after all. Because I mean, everybody's seen him,
right?
And it was like 20 minutes later, I saw that I was removed from the group. I'm like, oh, really? Like, come on, man. It's like, I just pointed out an observation. It's not like I even got on there and said anything, hateful towards the community. I just said, like, there's 300 people commenting here, and they've all seen him, so he can't be that rare.
Right. Fucking weird, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of one of those
That's the thing.
oxymorons.
That's the thing about those Bigfoot groups is there's thousands of members and everybody's seen him.
Yeah. Nobody's got a picture though. It's a tough break there.
Right.
He's just that good at dodging that shit.
I feel like we've gotten into this this topic so many times. I feel like this is like the basis of the show was the big guy. But after spending multiple years listening at this, like it has to, like we all came into this on the fence. Like we had real like gut like core beliefs that like it could happen. It could happen. We've seen stranger shit out there. But now it's starting to say, is this a true
yeah.
The only way it could be now, to me personally, this is how I feel over the years. I'm starting to feel over the years is that it has to be something more like, I guess you would say, spiritual. And I don't know if I believe in that much.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, like, think about like all the shit the shit you see. There he is. To me, it's like, think about all the shit you see out of the corner of your eye that isn't there. It could very well be psychological. You're out in the woods. There's nothing around you for miles,
Yeah.
And let's face it, anybody that's actually spent any time in the woods knows that like even the smallest creature can sound like a horse. Squirrels sound like huge.
They sound like a stampede coming through the leaves.
Squirrels sound huge, deer running sound like much larger animals.
Yeah.
Even like stray cats, if they're in a leaf bed, are going to sound bigger. I mean, it's just, I don't know. People are going to believe what they want to believe. People are going to say what they believe.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you try to contradict whatever they're saying with any questioning, then they get upset. And as soon as they get upset, I immediately know that this is an emotional response.
Yeah.
Not so much a factual response.
Yeah, because you start going in from the realm of probability into the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And probability, very, very low. Possibility, anything's fucking possible. But is it probable? You know, can the world produce an upright ape like that? Probably. It probably can. Is it possible to have an ecosystem that can sustain a population of that big of an ape? It's doubtful.
Yeah.
There isn't even that many gorillas in the wild. And that's a big ape.
That's a valid point. What is like the silverback population?
Worldwide, I couldn't tell you offhand.
I'm looking it up because, that's what I do.
Yeah. I know it can't be crazy, but I'm sure it's reasonable within the amount of calories out there. You know what I mean? And then too, we had the poaching thing for a while with the silverback, so I'm sure that's still going on.
You're looking at 316,000 Western gorillas and 5,000 Eastern gorillas.
Yeah.
It's not
in the grand scheme of things, it's not a terrible lot.
Right.
Considering that you're I don't know how to say this without being offensive to those communities, but you're trying to sell the fact. You're trying to sell it as a fact that there's basically millions of these things.
And it's even worse when you talk about mountain gorillas, which would be the big silverback, the one that nobody believed existed. There's 1,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And 460 of them live in one particular national park in Uganda.
Yeah.
So, and we have pictures of them.
Yeah, we have them. People didn't believe in them for 80 years, and they finally got pictures, and now it's a thing.
Yeah.
They were like, this thing that doesn't exist. There's no way. And then it's like, well, we got this film of them, we got this picture of them, and it's clear as day. So it's one of them things.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to hijack this into a Bigfoot episode by any means. I feel like the subject's gotten enough attention, and it is a frustrating topic for me now, because I went into the topic when we started this very even keel, very like, all right, let's find some patterns. I found one weird pattern over a course of like 12 years. And often the most disappointing explanation will be what's going on. And the thing that got me is that there was a giant fact that was left out of my explanation that wasn't done intentionally, but when I went back and I went over the information again, it went like this. I'm reading these patterns. I'm reading these sightings on a public website that anybody can submit a sighting to. So anyone can go in there and say, well, I'm gonna make a sighting similar to this one. I'm gonna create one. And then a guy like me comes along and I put together that, well, this one is a reoccurring. This one happens every so often. Maybe, but the most probable explanation is that someone put those in, because the submission itself is not date stamped. They manually enter in the date that they allege that this happened.
And they don't vet this at all.
They don't vet it.
Yeah, because I'm not saying like that organization doesn't have like the means to have somebody go out and investigate right off the rip.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that they're telling the truth. And like you said, if it was manually put in, this could be an old story that was passed down from people. So how could you actually make sure that it's true?
Reporting the same story, but someone had told them a different time period.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's completely nefarious. I'm just saying that it's once the human element is added
Yeah.
to it, it starts to get a little wobbly. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, without that, there's no control factor to that experiment. So it's void.
I always put it at this is like Telephone, that game that you played in school. That's how I always like. Somebody tells one story and then it goes like, oh, I saw Bigfoot, and then next you know it goes all around Bigfoot's flying saucers through the center of the world. That's how we got to here. Like,
well, that's where they live.
Yeah,
in the center of the earth. Silly
goose.
Silly goose. Of course, Bigfoot's coming out of the middle of the planet, where a bunch of stuff lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know that whole thing. And then when they remove you from a group because you have a polar opposite, approach. And my whole thing was like, not really like to point it out and to put them on the spot. It was more of a like perspective thing. Like, hey, man, there's thousands of you trying to tell me this is a rare, like once in a lifetime sighting, and there's thousands of you that's seen it, allegedly.
Right.
So it can't be both.
Yeah.
And you take just a law of averages of 1,000 to 1 odds. That means that 999 of those people are lying through their fucking teeth. If you apply that.
Yeah.
Again, they're going to twist us around and be like, you calling us fucking liars? No, I'm not. The odds are. I'm just observing.
Maybe they're not lying. They experienced something that was unexplained to them, and it has nothing to do with Bigfoot, even if they were telling the truth of their experience. But it was something totally different. It's just like that whole the term. I can't remember who we were talking to, but they said him and his boy went out, and his boy ran back to the truck because he heard a screech owl. And that was the first time he ever heard that before.
That was on location, Mike, and it was him and his dad, and he was the one that heard it.
So yeah, like that, like that's the type of scenario. Like if you're not used to this, you're going when you're in the unknown, especially in the dark and shit, your mind is going to race and go to the worst assumption because now you're in fight or flight, and most people will take flight.
Yeah.
You just said earlier, you said, Tyler, that you'd almost be willing to lean towards a spiritual type thing of, and that's like, if anybody listens to the show, that's like the one topic that I usually don't really weigh in on is that whole thing, the afterlife, spiritual stuff, all that stuff. In my core belief is that this is a science that we don't understand yet. I don't really think it's metaphysical. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a science there to this. That if there's a such thing as a persisting human consciousness, which there have been interesting things that have happened with that subject. I believe that it's a natural part of science and physics, because at this point in physics, we know that there's fourth dimensions, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, and we even have probabilities and equations that can prove these now, which to me, that's the math. That's showing your work. You know what I mean? Like that's not just saying like, oh, dude, there's a portal in the middle of the earth and that's where Bigfoot comes out of with this UFO. No, we have this math, and we have a missing spot here in the middle, and the universe doesn't usually do that. So we start working out the math. How does this fit this other dimension in here? And even getting on and listening to some of the big, some of the famous scientists out there, sit there and talk about, fourth dimensional beings could technically interact with everything here, but we don't have the organs. We don't have the sensory organs to perceive fourth dimensional. So it's not like it's not like a make-believe thing. It's just that we're living firmly in the third dimensional world. So we've evolved to be in the third dimensional world. It's not that it's not there. It's that we're just not the right model to see it, to experience it. If seeing it is even how you perceive it, we don't even know. For all we know, our brains don't know how to think outside of the third dimensional world. So they have to rely on mathematics. And then when it comes to the spiritual, like the spiritual side, I look at it like this. Hey, we got two big things here. We have how do you perceive the fourth dimension and up, and we have all this paranormal stuff. And my brain goes, don't those kind of follow the same, rules? You can't really understand it. You can't really see it. Blah, 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 So for me, if you said like, well, maybe the Bigfoot thing maybe it's a spiritual thing. What about a fourth dimensional primate that's that big and it's evolved upright and it exists in the world just like everything else? It just doesn't exist on our level of it. It doesn't exist in our third dimensional. And every now and again, maybe you get a glimpse. I don't know. But who the fuck is ever going to figure that out? That's kind of my problem. Is who's going to figure it out? Who would be like, oh, dude, I have all these computers that are designed to analyze the fourth dimensional world. No, you don't. We don't even know how to build that shit. We don't even know how to conceive of that, So it's like this gigantic void of the unknown that to me is infinitely more interesting than, the dog man. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm like,
yeah,
dude, there's a whole world in physics that's like, it's right there, ready to explain a lot of shit, and they just can't yet. We're just not there. We know that dark matter is a thing. We know that dark energy is a thing now. We know that antimatter is a thing. We know there's a God particle. We know that all atoms are quantized. Like that shit is mind-blowing to me. How the hell was every single atom in the universe programmed to do what it does? I taught you guys about this a long time ago, right? The fine-tuning theory.
Yeah.
That shit is mind fucking blowing to me. Because the only thing we know of in nature that fine-tunes anything is us. So basically it's like, okay, I think I told you guys about the one theories I was reading about, right? Where they kept running the math of like a quantized universe, basically like our universe. And no matter how many universes you stacked up, the quantized universe was the rare one. Like the actual like quantized universe where matter binds and atoms are programmed to do what they do. The normal, like, what do you call it? The regular result is an unquantized universe, basically like an antimatter universe where we couldn't even exist there. We would just like come apart because our atoms would no longer be quantized anymore. The matter would just fall back to its basic, whatever, and just be floating. So I'm like, dude, this shit, there's a lot of shit out there that's infinitely more mysterious and extravagant. And I do believe that in the end, physics will figure out all of this shit, But I don't know. When you said that earlier about a spiritual thing, that made me think of that. I don't think that spirituality and science is two different things. I think that they're two different fields that approach it different ways. But I do believe that science will be what figures it out,
I was just going on along the lines is that we can't, I want to say from our standpoint, like, well, mine at least, I just can't see it being a truly physical being like a dog or any animal that you can physically touch and see.
Yeah.
There has to be an outside.
That's kind of where I was
source.
at. It won't be a third dimensional being.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I was going. Because I even said the whole spiritual thing. I don't know if I could get on board fully with that either, but I'm willing to take the time to hear people's views on that and where they come with their conclusions on that said topic, because I just can't from now, like the flesh and blood type of thing. I just don't know if I can believe it anymore after seeing all this and
What
hearing all
about
these.
the alien thing? I see your tag there. Aliens aren't cool anymore.
Yeah,
What about
like
them?
I said,
Do you think that they're
Segway.
I've been waiting here on the button.
What about them though? I mean, there's people that do believe that that aliens they're not flying here from other planets, across the galaxy. They figured out a way to navigate dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. People, we had that one. Remember that one asteroid that floated through the solar system?
The Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Mimosa.
Mimosa.
It slows down at the sun and then takes a right turn and leaves. And you got us here. We're basically the primates in the woods going, that's probably a rock. That's a rock. There's no way.
You capping, bro?
Yeah, you capping? No cap?
Capping?
No cap?
Capping?
Still feels weird to say it. I don't know.
Yeah. Just stop.
It's like bet.
I really feel like we lost a lot of listeners on that one. So if they're starting to use this
there's
lingity,
some dude that's out there like, dude, this episode's bussing.
We're down to 1,200 subs.
This is hey, he's like going around his work. He's like, I low key love Kentucky X-Files.
I would unsubscribe for that one. But I'm saying that's the people who invented those are going to be representing the science community eventually. Yeah.
No. The people that those people picked on in high school are the ones that are going to be doing it.
I hope so. I really do. I really hope so. Please, God.
Well, I want to do a tiny segue here, just to.
I saw him go for it. Yep.
Yeah, segue. Segue. We need a little tiny one, a little miniature. I'm baffled. Okay, my niece comes up and tells me, she's like, "Hey, I'm starting a D&D campaign," and I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. That's cool. What are you playing? What edition? What do you think of it? What's your character idea? What do you want to play?" And she's doing talking about, yeah, and I got another one that I'm going to go to. It's 2 different campaigns. So it's like, this is awesome. But I'm over here and I'm like, why is it cool now to be a nerd, to like this stuff?
Because of Critical Role.
I was like, I got
Critical
picked
Role
on.
has brought it back, buddy.
I was like, I got so shitted on in high school and stuff for playing these types of games.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, now the tables are it's all askew now. In high school, nerd stuff is awesome. All it's cool. It's nostalgia in a way for
sure, yeah.
Yeah, these kids are nostalgic for shit that they've never been around.
Yeah, that's what I was about. It's retro. They love the retro, and I'm like, this is not retro to me.
Hey man, because my daughter does D&D.
Mm-hmm.
I did it when I was younger, right? I'm sure my D&D campaigns with my buddies was probably a lot different than what theirs are. But ours was a big ass mixing bowl full of cigarettes. We'd open them and dump them in, right? And then you just had a community, where you could just grab a smoke, right? Food, beer, it was it was awesome. It was, and there was always metal blasted somewhere. It was badass, right? And it's literally me and a bunch of other dudes with band shirts on, just sitting there rolling the dice, having this fun game, It gets them in person. They put this shit down. And they go and they sit in person and they play together. Segway.
You got to bring that thing back up again later because we have a segue into that as well.
Yeah.
They use their freaking they use their minds for a change. Like they like actually use their imagination.
Yeah,
and
man.
I like that. I was making the joke too. It's like I'm like, do you guys make fun of the jocks at your school for playing sports? Like, because the tables would turn, like they make fun of, like back then they made fun of us. Like, do you guys like, hey, you play football, nerd?
Like 15 of them shoving one guy into a locker.
Yeah, 15 of them.
He's a lot bigger, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like that didn't change.
Yeah. She comes home after playing and she's like laughing and telling me about their story and stuff, and they come up with some crazy shit, and I'm just sitting there like, this is awesome. Like, good for them.
Yeah.
So happy to hear it. I love it.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've never even seen a D&D board.
That's unfortunate, Josh, because I actually think that you'd be pretty good at it. Like, I feel like you would be that guy in the group that probably got everybody in and out of good like situations, because you got to have that guy in the group that's like, hold up, if this is here and this is here, then we need to do this, and that's usually the guy that saves everybody. So I feel like Josh would probably be pretty good.
Yeah, I've never even seen one.
We don't even have that. I never had that. All of our everybody that was in our campaign always like Leroy Jenkins it.
Yeah, right.
Like always, like I remember. This is another Josh. He wanted to do a flying kick. He rolled a 1, and our dungeon master is like, okay. He's like, okay, you get like. You do this awesome like flip cartwheel onto this boulder, and then you jump down with a kick. And you miss him completely and hit the wall and break you shatter your leg.
Yeah. That's what rolling ones get you.
Yeah.
We don't do none of that re-roll ones either. If you roll a 1, you live with that.
Yeah,
shit.
you stick with that.
Yeah. Our dungeon master was pretty hardcore. He would pretty much kill your character at any turn, and you had to make a new one because that character is dead. And I always love that. Maybe it's his fault that I like all or nothing aspect games. It might be his fault because I do like that. I like those games where you come up, and if you die, you lose everything. I don't know why. I hate myself or something. I don't know. But yeah, if we ever got Josh to play though, and he's not either a boat captain or a wizard, I'm not playing. Because he's got the wizard, like he could do it, and he could sell it.
Yeah.
Or he could be like a boat captain, like a pirate warrior kind of dude, and I would believe that one too. I'd be like, yeah, dude. But if he came in and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be a gnome thief, I'd be like, because I'm playing too. I got to be able to believe it,
right?
Yeah. Nah, man, I'm glad to hear it though. I'm glad to hear the kids are playing D&D and getting together and being stupid. That's what they should be doing. You know, just fucking cell phone screens have robbed the souls. Segway. So what do you think it was that knocked out all the phones?
I don't know, but I think that the hilarity that ensued on Facebook after was just gold.
Yeah.
It was just gold, absolute gold. Because one, the same people that always post a picture of, turning your cell phones, turn off the Wi-Fi to live in this cabin, are always like, yeah, I would love to do that. Or the same people that are like, AT&T's been down for 3 hours. That's one thing that's hilarious. And then the conspiracy theorist people showed up, and they did not disappoint.
Yeah.
This is a test, guys. Just know this is a test.
Right.
I would love to know. I would love to know what the end game on that is, because I've been thinking very solidly about this for a couple of days since Thursday when it happened, and I started seeing that, and I started just bombarding you guys with screenshots of, this is a test. This is a test. because we live in a capitalist society in our country, right? Right. So what good would it be to take the thing we do so much purchasing on? Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things on my home screen that I use to buy shit. At what point does it make sense to disable that?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No, I'm with you.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And the people that think that like this was them trying to slowly push us into a communist or socialist society, that doesn't benefit the very wealthy right now, because the very wealthy are getting rich on the middle class and the poor as we speak. They're not going to get any richer if we're all poor in a capitalist society.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
No. I think they got hacked.
Yeah.
I think they got hacked.
It was like a play game cyber attack, and they didn't want to tell everybody that's what it was.
I hope that's what it was.
Because like the official answer,
the
official answer was that they were trying to update the system and fucked up.
Yeah, hardware failure or hardware mishap. I read.
Yeah, which I also believe, because I mean, as we go back to season 2, fill up the alien. Every company has a moron.
Yeah,
these things happen.
Absolutely. I remember at one of my stops, the guy that was helping me comes back to get another stack of stuff to take in, and he comes up and he goes, "Man, some old dude just came right up to me and said, 'It's the fucking Russians.'" And I was dying. I'm like, yeah, man, maybe. I don't know. No, I hope it was some group of assholes just hacking, just to do it. That's what I hope for, because the alternative is not as pretty.
No, but that's the thing, though, is that we love a victim. We love an enemy. All right.
Sure.
So, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say one of the things that caused a lot of turmoil when Trump was a president was that we didn't have an enemy at the time, because he was a lunatic and basically was just like, fuck with us, we'll nuke you.
Yeah.
So we focused our hate in instead of out.
Sure.
That's the thing that made like Bush and Obama do better and have less people coming after him constantly, was both of them had an enemy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if it was an attack, then they would love to push an enemy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, regardless of who it is, we have to have somebody to hate.
Right.
As a society, we have to have somebody to hate. So to me, I wholeheartedly believe that some derpy motherfucker hit the wrong button, flipped the wrong switch, didn't, put the right decimal point in the right spot, didn't think about this overheating that and causing this problem.
Right.
He didn't carry the decimal point.
He didn't carry the decimal.
I like the
bitch. I knew it was going to bite me in the ass.
The only reason I kept saying was I hope it was just some group of kids hacking,
right?
Just like the kids that took down all of Sony there for like 7 months. Remember that?
Yeah.
They just took Sony down,
Yeah, but they announced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they told people that's what happened.
So I'm like, if I know it's not a very what do you call it? It's not a very good idea if you're a big tech company to admit that you've been hacked. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good idea. You're like, oh yeah, we got hacked, and everybody that's got any kind of investment in you is going to go out of that shit.
But there was a lot of them that did that.
Yeah.
Like Facebook got hacked for a little while. There was a bunch of social media stuff.
PayPal.
Banks, PayPal. A bunch of them got hacked, because I remember there was like a meme going around about like how Pornhub's security is higher than Facebook. Like, the porn website cares more about your security, and I thought that shit was hilarious.
That's just because they're good people, though.
Right. They are good people over there.
You know what I mean? They're doing good work. They're doing God's work over there.
Once it's God's work, but okay. They're doing work. But I don't know if it has.
I mean, looking at the current climate of conflict in the world right now, right? If you just take a glimpse at all of the conflicts that are actively going right now, we're not very far off from a global problem. I'll say. I'm not going to sit here and fearmonger people because that's
right.
a waste of time. But
that's the news job.
Yeah, but just sitting there and I flip through the news. I listen to some stuff. I want to hear what's going on, and it's like, oh, these two countries. Yeah, you got to have the paper. If you don't have the paper, it doesn't sell.
I got guitar string packs.
Yeah, that'll work. Anything really. You just got to tap it, and But
you got
too
much.
You got
this
Russia,
is my W-2.
Russia and Ukraine are going at it. You got, but who's the other one that's going on? Palestine and
Israel.
Yeah,
Israel.
That's been going on for centuries, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all this stuff happening and whatnot, and people are saying, looking at it and saying, like, damn, we're actually a lot closer to a World War III right now than we have been in years. And then you have the constant fear of Chinese hackers. And I've begun to believe that rumor might not be so far off. If you watch these guys play video games, okay, you get into any video game where it's like a bunch of people and a bunch of Chinese dudes join, it's their game after that. Okay, they're good. They're good, and that's a video game, right? I'm just saying, if they want to hack, they're probably going to do it,
right?
Because that's, like I said, that's just a video game, and they absolutely can kill video games if they want to. And I'm like, man, these guys ever get pissed off where they're like, you know what, motherfucker, we're going to take out your fucking cell phones for a while,
right?
See what that does to your economy.
That's the other thing too, is they really only took out one major carrier.
Yeah,
like if they wanted to really, do a test, why wouldn't it have been all cell phones across the board?
Yeah, that was weird. There was a lot of people. When it happened, there was a lot of people I was talking to that were not even with any of these carriers, and their shit was down too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? Does AT&T own all these, or like, how does this work? You know what I mean?
Well, and really, there's only 3 or 4 cell phone tower companies out there, and everybody bounces off of them. So like, you just end up with priority. Okay. I can give a great example. I have 2 cell phones. One is my personal one is my work phone, right? Yeah. They both work off of the same towers, but they're from different companies. Okay. I won't name the companies and all that, but I can physically watch if I'm in a desolate area where I do have good phone service, but there's not a lot of population, and the bars will kind of follow each other and everything works at the same speed. Like, I've done this test where I put them down and I've hit Google and searched the same thing and hit enter at the same time, and they work at the same speed.
Yeah.
Then I get into an area that's way more populated, right? Say like around a mall or something, where there's thousands of people that are using this same carrier, the main carrier. And I can physically watch my phone slow way down. It'll read the same bars, but it'll be like seconds, like 10 seconds slower, if not more. There was a job. Yeah, it was a job I was on for a year that if I was at lunch and I wanted to scroll through Marketplace on Facebook, I couldn't do it on the job because it would just be gray blocks instead of pictures. Because it was throttled so much. And this is a real thing. Throttling is a real thing.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this, but they're 2 entirely different phone companies, but they share the same tower, right? So suffice to say that, a lot of these people may not realize that they were also on an AT&T plan, right?
Right.
Because I think there's really only 3. I think it's AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. I think they own all 3 towers.
That makes more sense.
Right. Now, there may be situations where there's no Verizon tower here, and Verizon is paying AT&T to bounce.
Okay.
And they may have got hit. But like, I think Cricket, I'm pretty sure Cricket is an AT&T.
Yeah, it was down.
Yep. I think that maybe there's 4. I can't remember, because I know T-Mobile's got some of its own.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have as many. But like, what's the purple one? Boost Mobile.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's orange. You're thinking of Metro.
Metro bounces off somebody else's towers. Boost bounces off of somebody else's towers. The Sprint owns their own, but I think they use an AT&T tower, but I'm not sure. Or maybe it's a T-Mobile tower. I can't remember. It's On Location. Mike could answer this a lot better. He knows more about this than I do, because that's what he did, was radio communication in the military.
Okay.
But he explained it all to me at one point, because you can see it like physically happen when you come to my house. Like, some of you guys have better cell reception than I do.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, even when I come though, I still lose all my signal. I'm on your Wi-Fi at that point.
Right. Like mine goes into FLIDO at SOS mode.
What is that?
SOS. It's emergency call.
There's no signal. That's the only thing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. It says SOS at the top, and there's no bars, and it doesn't say, whatever it is, TFW or what is it, the 5G. It doesn't say that at the top. It just says SOS. But like, some people come out here and they have 2 bars of signal. It's really weird.
I haven't checked it since I switched carriers, but I haven't noticed it yet. Coming over there.
But yeah, to me, it just doesn't make sense for it to be an attack unless it's